What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cowboy Slot channel, and today I'm going to be doing a very interesting video, and this is a video a lot of people have requested, and today I'm going to tell you and show you how to pick a good slot machine. So before we get started, I do have just a couple of things to go over with you. My apologies if I'm looking over here because I've got some notes. I want to make sure that I cover everything. So the first thing really is understand, guys, when you go into a casino and you're going to play slots, understand that no matter what tips I give you, slot machines are always random. So even the best players lose. Think of like your favorite sports team, or even the best teams out there. We'll just take take your favorite sports team, for example. Sometimes they make it to the Super Bowl, sometimes they don't even make it at all. So really, guys, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are, they are still random, and there is still always a chance that you will lose. So that's definitely the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing really, guys, is there really is no method to what we call in the casino advantage playing. There's no real method to gaining an advantage over slot machines. The best you can do is have good knowledge, and some of the stuff I'm going to go over with you today will help you with that. Have good knowledge when you go in, and it will help you, but always understand too, guys, that the casino does still, at the end, they always have the one-up on you. Also, guys, really quick, the tips that I'm about to give you are going to be from the programming side, and also my experience both as a player and working in the casinos for several years, from what I have seen, from what I have observed, and working with these machines very closely on all levels. So these tips are purely going to be from the programming side and from that side. So if you're one of those players that you really play based on how you feel, or you got a good feeling about something, definitely, if the method works for you, keep with that. I hope that you guys can still use these tips, but just understand that these tips are from the programming side. And finally, the last thing that I just want to disclose with you guys, since I did work for the casinos and I did work on these machines, I just want to clarify that none of the tips that I'm going to give you contain any security or sensitive information pertaining to any particular casino, tribe, or state. So just have to say that and disclose that. And most of the tips that I'm going to be giving you, they are, and I will let you know as I go along, a lot of them are public record or public knowledge or something that you can look up into further detail. So with all of that in mind, let's get started. Really, guys, when I look at a machine, when I go into a casino and I look at a machine, it's one of those things that I am taking in so much just from one glance. So when I look at a machine, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the paytable, the denomination, how many credits it plays, the type of game it plays, everything. So as you kind of progress and go through this and you kind of hone in on that practice, you'll get a little faster at it. But really, if there's a particular tip that you're struggling with or anything, kind of focus on that the next time you go to the casino, and it'll help you to balance everything out and retain your information a little bit more. Tip number one, the first tip, and I have 10 tips for you today, so this is tip number one. Always walk the entire casino floor. Always. Casino floors are always changing, guys, and when you walk into a casino, especially a new one, you want to first, and this is what I do, and all of these tips are tips that I practice, is walk the entire floor of the casino and just kind of get a lay of the land, get a feel, look at all the denominations, look at where everything's at, and just kind of look at, what are people playing, what are people not playing, stuff like that. So always is tip number one, is to know your casino. If you've not been in that casino before, walk the floor and really take in, just go up and down, and just walk and look at everything for a little bit. That'll help kind of give you the lay of the land and see kind of what the casino is about. So that's tip number one, is know your surroundings and know your casino. Tip number two, and this is a big one, and this really goes in depth, and this is something that I actually don't know any players that do this, but it is actually extremely, extremely important, guys. This is probably the biggest tip. And tip number 2 is understand the legalities and the regulations of your gaming commission, because that determines this, okay? If you do not understand that tribe or that state's in-depth regulations, and guys, there's a lot of them. These machines are highly regulated. Everything is controlled by the gaming commissions and the law. Understand the law. Understand the regulations. So for example, before these machines are even programmed, it has to go through either the tribe or the commission, and they have to actually give a mathematical breakdown of what the odds should be programmed at. And every state, every tribe is different, okay? And here's another tip for you. I'll give you the example of Las Vegas. So in Las Vegas, the state determines, and they have a set regulation of, okay, the casinos have 10 different options that they can pick from for what their odds are to stay within legal means. They have 10 different options, and the casino can pick any option they want within those 10. Now here's an interesting fact, guys. The casinos that have the same holding company or the same parent company, so if you go down the Las Vegas Strip, you're going to see a ton of casinos, but in actuality there's only about 3 companies that own all of those casinos. So those companies tend to have the same regulation at all of their properties. So if you go to one casino and you're not having any luck and you're like, oh, these machines are too tight or they're terrible regulations, and you walk across the street, well, if you're playing with the same player's card, guys, that casino is going to have the exact same regulations as the one you just left. So understand that. But the legalities are the biggest thing to understand. And this is one of those things that I mentioned too. A lot of it depends, but a lot of the states or regulations or commissions actually have that as public record and public knowledge. So there are a lot of states or commissions, and you cannot do this at the actual casino. You would have to go to the gaming commission or the tribe themselves, and a lot of that is you can actually request and be like, hey, let me see the regulation of what your payouts have to stay within. And you can see the actual number. So you know, you can actually do a lot of research, guys, and you can know what particular business or state or tribe has better odds over another one. So really, the law and the commission is what runs these machines. So if you understand that, and if you can get in-depth knowledge of that, and if if you've got time on your hands or you're a really big slot player, look into the commission aspect of it, because that will tell you a lot right there. So now let me pull up my notes here. Sorry, guys. All right, so that leads me into tip number 3. So you've walked the casino floor, maybe you did some research on regulations, and you're looking at a machine and you're ready to play. So what's the first thing that you look at? And that leads me into tip number 3, is the base denomination of the machine. So again, all of these machines plays into the legalities, guys. All of these machines, the legality is programmed at the base denomination of the machine. And I'll give you a little hint about something. The entire casino as a whole is built purely to make money. So they are going to have the most of what makes them money. Here is a fun fact. Did you notice that not a lot of casinos, or only maybe 1 or 2, have poker rooms? The reason being is we call that in the casino industry, the poker room is a player courtesy, because the casino really doesn't make a lot of money off of the poker room. They get the flow of traffic in, but they don't make a whole lot of money. So that's why typically in a casino you might have 5 casinos and only 2 have poker rooms. So understand that the casino is built to make money, and they're going to have the most of what makes them money. And the most of what makes them money is going to be the machines that don't pay you out as much. So when you walk into a casino, what's the first thing you see? You see a sea of penny machines. Guys, The penny machines are a farce. I will just tell you that right now. They make the most money because people automatically, they see 1 penny and they think, oh, it's only 1 penny. But you don't look at the fact that you're playing 500 credits, so you're playing $5. But if you were to go to the little tiny bank in the corner of the casino that's the $5 machines, those $5 machines have better odds and you're spending the same amount of money. So with the law and with the regulation, and this is very important to understand, that base denomination in most laws, in most tribes, in majority, like 90% of commissions, it is required that the higher the denomination, the better the odds have to be. So for example, a penny machine might have a payout percentage of 87.5. And then a dollar machine might have a payout percentage of 88.5. And then you look at and you go all the way up, and then you see this little tiny room in the back of the casino that says high limit. And they make it look like, oh, it's inclusive, it's intimidating, I don't want to go in there. But what they don't tell you is those high limit machines, you get up to like the $100 machines, and those payouts are like 90, 98, 99%. So they don't have a lot of them because that's where they lose the most money. So tip number 3, always play the highest denomination that you can, that you're able to. If you are trying to hit a jackpot, play the highest denomination that you can. And keep in mind, guys, that if you go to a penny machine and you play 500 credits, even though you're playing $5, that payout percentage is still the legal lowest minimum. So if you go to a $5 machine and spend the exact same amount of money, your odds are going to be significantly greater. And that's that way with any machine. If you go to a $25 slot machine and you're playing 2 credits and you're paying $50 a spin, go to a $50 machine and spend 1 credit and get the same amount of money with better odds. The higher the base denomination, the better your odds are going to be. And that is like that at 99% of casinos, I can guarantee it. The higher the base denomination of the machine, the better your odds are going to be. And always keep in mind too, with multi-denomination machines, so if you have a machine here, say for example this is a $5 machine and I can select between $5 or $10, when you select $5 it's going to have a different payout. When you select $10 it's going to have a little bit higher of a payout. So again, those multi-denomination machines, they have different payouts programmed to them. They're different accounting records, and essentially they're different machines. So always keep that in mind, guys. Higher the denomination, the better the odds. So, tip number 4. This is one thing that I look at. So after I've looked at a machine and I've walked up, and by the way, guys, I will give you a quick rundown of the whole process all put together in one piece at the end of the video so you can see the entire breakdown of what I do when I go to a play at a slot. So you've walked up, you've decided, okay, I want to play a $10 slot. What's the next thing that you look at? Look at the pay table. The easiest thing to remember about the pay table of the machine is look at the top line bet, or the top line jackpot, the highest amount you can go. So on this machine, if I play 2 credits and get triple, 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 I get 2,500 credits. The higher that number is, the lower your chances are. So higher number is worse. So always, if you have a choice, if you walk up and you have, let's say, all of these machines right here are $10 a spin. All of the machines are $10 a spin. And this one says 2,500 credits. This one says 5,500 credits. And this one over here says 1,000 credits. Which one is the best one to play? It would be the one with the 1,000 credits. Because what happens is that top line is going to hit more frequently. So you have a higher chance of getting that top line hit. So that's important to know. Always look at your pay tables, because your pay tables will say a lot about what your game is, how your game is programmed. So always look at your pay tables. Remember, higher number, lower odds. That leads me into tip number 5, and this is talking about machines that have multipliers. So, kind of the same, along the same lines. So, triple double diamond, you know, it has a multiplier of the double diamond, so 2 times, or a multiplier of the triple diamond, which is 3 times. The higher the multiplier is, the lower your odds are going to be, the harder it's going to be to hit on something. So you see the machines that are like 12 times pay, or 10 times pay, or 5 times pay. The higher that number is, the much lower odds you're going to have of hitting something good. Now, if you do hit something on it, it's big and it's great. But if you're going into the casino with the idea of you want to make the most amount of money by spending the least, try to avoid those machines that have the highest multiplier. Because the higher the multiplier, the lower your odds are going to be. So that leads me into tip 6. Tip 6, guys, is more of, it's something that you guys would not know unless you were a programmer, but I'm going to share this with you. Most of these games have the same game chip inside of them, which means they share the same odds. So I will give you an example of a couple of machines that all actually share the same game chip. Triple stars, butterfly sevens, red hot sevens, and triple lucky sevens. So those 4 machines right there, they're actually the same game. They have the exact same game chip, the exact same EEPROM, the exact same everything inside of them. The only thing that's different is the glass and the reels and the way the game looks. So if you walk up to a machine and you see like triple stars, triple lucky sevens, butterfly sevens, all of that, pick whatever one you want to because it's the same game. They're literally the exact same game chip. Now that does not apply to all machines. That's just specifically like those 4 that I just gave you. They actually all have the same game chip in them, and they actually all have about the same odds. But you always still want to look at the pay table on them because, again, the pay table is going to tell you the most. So that's tip number 6, is just know that a lot of these games actually have the same game chip in them, and you guys mostly would not know that. That's just a little programming tidbit. So tip 7 is, again, I know we talked about the multi-denomination machine, but a lot of people, somebody asked me, they said, so I know that when you switch denominations on the machine, it changes the odds and it changes the way the game reads it. But what about if you're playing 1 credit versus 2 credits? So on this machine, top bet is 2 credits, so I can sit here and I can play for 2, or I can play for 1 credit. And they asked me the question of, do your odds change based off of that? Like, they know that the odds change on the denomination, but do your odds actually change when you bet 1 versus 2? And the answer is no. As long as you are on the same game with the same denomination, the machine actually doesn't care whether you bet 1 or 2. So my advice, and this is my tip for you guys, always play the max bet. When you are looking at a machine and you are trying to budget yourself, always budget for playing the max every single spin. So if you, for example, you're like, you know what, I'm feeling lucky, I'm going to play a $25 machine. If that machine is a 2 credit, so you can bet 1, 2 and spend $50, expect to spend $50 a spin. Try to always play the max, because the machine has the same odds and the same programming, and it's going to land in the same place whether you play 1 or 2. So if you're playing a machine and you're playing on 2 credits and you're not winning much, and so you drop your bet down to 1 credit and then you hit something, sorry to say, but yeah, you kind of messed up yourself there, because that probably would have landed if you would have played 2 credits as well. So the machine doesn't care if you're playing 1 or 2. Always play the max. For me, when I go to play, if I can't afford to play the max bet, I don't play it at all. Plain and simple. Always want to play the max, guys. That's going to be your best odd for a higher payout. So the next thing is tip number 8, and this kind of goes into the observation factor, is a lot of people ask me, and a lot of people think like, oh, if a machine hits a jackpot, it's not going to hit again for a while because it actually just paid out. That's actually false. Back-to-back jackpots are very possible. I have had it happen to myself, and I have seen it happen on many slot channels and with many players and with working in the casinos. Back-to-back jackpots are very, very possible, which actually leads me into another thing, and I'm going to include the link in the bottom of this video. There's actually a slot channel on YouTube that I love to watch. It's a big shout out to Stacys High Limit Slots. Her channel is fantastic. She is a high limit player. She plays a lot of really great machines that I personally love, and it's very, very enjoyable to watch. So if you ever do want to watch somebody play some really good machines, head on over to Stacys channel at Stacys High Limit Slots, and I will include that link right below here. But yes, guys, back-to-back jackpots are possible, and as you can see on some of Stacys' channels, she's gotten very lucky, and she's hit a couple back-to-back jackpots herself. So, and that's another thing, guys, is go on YouTube and look at some of these channels because they're really cool, and they'll kind of give you a good idea on what games are good and what games are not good and what games to play. So, big shout out to Stacys High Limit Slots and her channel there. And always know, guys, back-to-back jackpots are possible. So that is my tip number 8. And tip number 9, and this is a big one, when you're playing the machine. So now you've picked your machine, you've looked at your pay table, you've looked at your denomination, you've looked at your odds, and you're ready to play, and you're sitting here and you're playing. What do you watch for? Guys, watch for patterns. If the machine is paying you out anything, even if it's a cherry, the machine is trying to get back into balance and balance itself to stay within that legal regulation. As long as the machine is giving you something, there's a good chance that it's trying to rebalance. But watch for patterns, guys. And when I say patterns, I'm not talking about stuff in the window. I'm talking about stuff that lands on the pay line itself. So for example, if you're playing a machine and you are like, oh, I hit white 7, white 7, white 7. And then 3 spins later, you hit white 7, white 7, white 7 again. And you're thinking, gosh, it really likes those white 7s. Guys, if it's a multiplier machine, chances are it's getting ready to multiply that white 7 payout that it just gave you. So keep playing it because chances are you're probably going to hit triple white 7 triple. So watch for those patterns, guys, because the machine tries to balance itself. It tries to balance itself because it has to keep it within those legal regulations. So if a machine has taken in a lot of money and it's been playing for a couple days and no one's really hit and that number starts to go up, the machine's going to think to itself, well, oh shit, I need to start balancing myself. So it's going to start trying to keep itself balanced, and if it's giving repeat combinations, then that is a good sign that it is going to try to get itself back into gear. So watch for patterns. And I have a personal story that I will tell you about this. I was playing at a casino, and this was actually a 12 times pay machine that I was observing. I was playing a couple machines down, and this lady was playing a 12 times machine. Well, I know, and what I just told you is we both know now that those 12 times machines are hard to hit on because they have such a high multiplier. And I was sitting there and I was watching this player, and they hit triple bar 12 times triple bar, which on that particular machine was like for $600. And the player's super happy and super excited, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, that's a good hit for that machine because I know that that machine typically doesn't do that, so I keep watching. And again, guys, observation is a big thing. So I keep watching. Couple more spins in, it hits it again. Triple bar, 12 times triple bar. Well, at this point, the player has $1,200. She's super happy and excited, and she's like, oh, wow, I just hit $1,200. She cashes out her ticket and she leaves. And other people are kind of watching, and they're like, oh, that machine just paid out a bunch of money. It's not going to pay out again. But remember what I told you guys, back-to-back jackpots are possible. And look for patterns. So you've implemented those two right there, tips that I just gave you. I walked over, I sat down, and I started playing this machine. 3 spins in, I hit 12 times, green 7, 12 times for $12,000 within 3 spins. So just by following those 2 tips alone, observation and knowing your machines, and looking for those patterns, you will be able to tell. So I ended up walking out with over $12,000 because I followed my tips. I followed my set that I have in my mind of watching and observing and looking at every aspect of the machine. So guys, if you follow those tips, you're going to be in a lot better position. And finally, I just want to give you tip number 10, and this is the last tip that I'm going to tell you. And I'm not trying to be dad over here or anything like that. But my final tip is know when to stop before you start. So when you go into a casino, have a budget with you and automatically expect to lose it. And don't expect yourself to win, because again, it is gambling. And stick within your budget, guys. If you're playing a machine and it's just not doing anything, don't keep feeding it money. Go to another machine or stop playing. And I'll explain why. A lot of people, these machines have a different the machines have a different programmed mentality of what high limit is. What high limit and a lot of money to this machine is not the same as ours. When I used to buy these machines, and when I used to part of my job was to clear out the accounting records of these machines. And when I look at the accounting records, these machines register in the millions and millions of dollars. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, well, I just put $1,000 in this machine, how could it take it all? You have to understand that to the machine, $1,000 is nothing. It's peanuts to this machine because it's taken in millions of dollars. So do not get in that mentality and thinking of, well, I just put $5,000 into this machine, it should pay me. Guys, it's nothing to that machine. So know when to stop before you start. If the machine is just not paying, it's not your time, it's not your day, or it's not your machine. Find another machine or leave the casino. Do not spend all of your life savings on these machines, guys. I'll tell you that right now. You can do the best you can. You can have all of these tips and you can put them into practice and you can still lose. So just be safe and be smart when you are gambling or when you are playing. So I did promise you earlier in the video that I would do a quick run through and an example of what I would do when I walked into a casino. So I will do that right now. I'll put it all together so you guys can kind of put all of these tips together for yourself. Okay guys, so now I'm going to give you an example because I told you at the beginning of the video I was going to give you an example of what I look for when I walk through a casino. So, and I'm sorry if you can't see my head. Here I am. Alright guys, so I just walked into the casino. I'm walking around, I'm looking at everything, and I come across this bank of machines. Now for example, we are going to say that this bank of machines is all triple stars. So just for an example, so even though they're not, just pretend, follow along. All triple stars machines. They're all dollar machines. So they all have the same denomination, same game. They all spend 5 credits as the max. So, all triple stars, all dollars. Max of $5 spin. I'm going to look at the pay tables. Okay, this one on my right, maximum pay table, maximum payout, triple is 10,000 credits. I'm going to look at this machine, maximum pay table, maximum credits, triple is 8,000. Okay, so it's a little lower than that one. Go over to this one, and triple stars, max credit, triple is the same as this one over here for 10,000. Automatically I know that this machine right here is going to have the best odds of hitting something bigger or hitting the triple. So I'm going to decide that I'm going to play this machine right here. So I put my money in, I'm spending it. I'm playing max credit. What I'm looking for now, I'm looking for patterns. So, well, the triple diamond dropped on the line. I didn't get paid anything for it, but oh look, the same symbol dropped on the line 2 times in a row. Still not getting anything. I probably won't get anything. Again, guys, this is an example. So, we'll just say that those triples were cherries. And they dropped on the line, so I got 2 of them. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's a pattern, but it's a pretty low pattern. So, you know what, and maybe I play it a little bit longer and I get a couple more cherries and maybe a combination of bars. You know what, it's probably not that machine's time. It's probably not the right time to play the machine, because to me what that's saying is the programming, the accounting record is pretty well balanced right now. So you want to try to find a machine that's getting ready to be out of balance so it can pull itself back in. So what I would do is I would move to a different machine. So let's say, okay, you know what, I'm going to move to the machine right next to it and see if it hits anything of, you know, I'll turn the camera a little bit too so you can see it. This one in particular is Triple Stars. It's one of my favorite games. And I'm going to spin it a couple times here. Oh look, I'm not getting anything. Okay, I got a little hit. Line hit. Still nothing. Little line hit. Another little line hit. So what that basically is telling me, okay, another little line hit. It's paying me something, so as long as it's paying you something, stick on it. And just see how it goes for a little bit. But you notice how it's just doing like 1 line hits here and there and then kind of nothing. That pretty much tells me that the machine is pretty well balanced. Now on this particular one I hit a double line hit. Okay, well it's still pretty low. So basically what that's telling me, and again more line hits, what that's telling me is the machine is pretty well balanced right now. So it's not really out of balance. And again, I want to try to find, as a professional player, I want to try to find a machine that is out of balance. So if I go around and I play a little bit and I'm not really finding anything, maybe I'll just come back another day. But again, guys, so just to go over the tips again, and I'll just go over them just in an overview real quick here. Let me pull up my notes so I remember what I said. All right. So the 10 tips that I gave you today is tip number 1, walk your casino floor. Walk around the casino, get to know it, explore, observe, watch your casino, number 1. Number 2, understand your legalities, the legal aspects, the payouts, the regulations. Understand that, guys, because that's what programs these machines. So number 2 is know your legal regulations. Number 3, really easy, the denominations. Higher denomination, the better the odds. And that denomination, again, is the base of the machine. So higher denomination, better odds. Number 4 is look at the pay table. On the pay table itself, it's kind of the opposite of their last tip. The higher the number, the lower the odds. So look at the maximum table payout. Higher that number is, the lower the odds are going to be. Multipliers. The higher number of multipliers there are, the lower the odds are going to be. So 12 times, 10 times, 100 times machine, those machines are going to be hard. But if you find a multiplier that's like Triple Stars, for example, Triple Stars is a fantastic machine. I will actually say this, of all the machines in the casinos, if I were to pick any machine, knowing the programming, knowing everything, I would pick Triple Stars. If I were to go to a high limit room and I see a $100 Triple Stars machine, you bet I'm going to be playing that $100 Triple Stars machine. Triple Stars is my all-time favorite, and I'll tell you right now, they're one of the machines I programmed the most, and I know for a fact that Triple Stars has pretty good odds. So just know your multipliers. That's tip number 5. Tip number 6, know that a lot of these games have shared game chips. So a lot of the games, even though they have different glass, different reels, different feels, same programming. Tip number 7, always bet the max bet. Always bet the max bet, because your credit bet doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the denomination of the machine. Once you pick that denomination, you're getting the same payouts. So you're getting the same odds. So always play the max. And tip number 8, back-to-back jackpots are always possible. So do not get discouraged. If you see a machine and someone's doing really well on it, and especially if you notice that it has a pattern going to it, if they leave, pick that machine, because it's very possible that there's going to be a back-to-back jackpot on it. And that kind of leads into my tip number 9, is always watch for patterns. Patterns are the biggest things with the machine. So if you notice the same combination keeps coming up, stick with it. probably going to hit that. And when I'm saying that, I'm not saying falls in the window. A lot of people get excited when they see, and I'll use triple stars for an example. If they're playing a triple stars machine and they get one triple on the line and then the other two are randomly placed, that does not count. I'm talking about just on the pay line. Watch for patterns on the pay line that you're hitting. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is always know when to stop before you start. So anyway, guys, that was a couple of tips, and that is my run through on how I pick a slot machine when I play. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, especially if you go to the casino and you decide to use my tips and put them into practice. Come back to the channel, leave me a comment, and let me know if it worked for you or if it didn't. So anyway, guys, as always, stay safe and have fun, and best of luck to you playing your favorite games.